actually, I want to shift gears. We're running out of time. I want to shift gears because the OVF community, a lot of us are disabled veterans. A lot of us
Mhm.
have been through the ringer, much like yourself, and are down and out, and have not yet brought ourselves back up to a place where we could be. And one of the things that I found so inspirational, and honestly, I went through a very similar situation. I did not make the same decision you did when you stepped on the IED back in 2010, and
Mhm.
ultimately the decision came that you could get out of the military, or you could try forward. You could basically switch your MOS and become a different job inside the military, or you can get out of the military. And you
Mhm.
were like, no, forget all of that. I'm going to drive forward and continue doing what I was doing. You're not going to stop me. Personally, myself, and I'm sure there's plenty of other veterans, and I know there is inside of OVF. When I got that decision, I chose to get out, and
Mhm.
I chose to move on with my life. You had a will to do more, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people watching right now who chose out or chose to move forward, or thought they were choosing to move forward, but are now stuck and don't know how to break free. Do you have any advice for somebody who's backs against the wall, been through hell and back with their time in service, and feel like there's no hope for them?
Yeah, no, I do have advice for that. So my decision, so my injuries had me medically retired, and I got the opportunity to get a waiver to stay on active duty, but this waiver was a dead man's profile. I could sit at a desk and do something or another, but they'd spent this much money on training me through the Q course, so they wanted I could get this waiver and be retained because hey, he could be the air ops guy until he retires or something. Who knows what? But you're done. You're hoo-ya or hoo-ah gun slinging stuff. It's over with.
Yeah.
And for me, the what when I chose to not accept that, it wasn't that I'm this superhuman or anything like that. It's no, I'm normal dude, just like everybody watching this. But my choice came because there was a seed planted there that my sergeant major gave me. Hey, if you can get medically cleared, I'll send you back to war. And he even admits, he was like, yeah, man, I had to give you some hope, but nobody thought this was going to happen because you were done. And so I did. I took that, and I kind of I ran with it, and I made my plan. And through rehab, I just I gave it everything I had, both at in San Antonio and when I got back to 7th Group. So eventually I was released from San Antonio. It's like, all right, you're cleared to go back to 7th Group, but you're non-deployable and all this other good stuff. Okay, so I showed up and I went through the Thor 3 program that, if you're wounded or hurt, or wounded or injured, or hurt, you go through this program to give the commands their warm fuzzy that you're good to go back to an ODA. So I went through the Thor 3 program and I was approved to go back to an ODA. Timing was everything also. My company had went back to Afghanistan, so nobody really knew who Ryan Hendrickson was. So I showed back up to the company where rear detachment was at. I was like, hey, I'm in the company. Here's my paper. I'm cleared to rejoin my team again. They're like, well, your team's in Afghanistan. Okay, yeah, let's go. No one really knew who I was. And so I just took that opportunity to get on that C-17 and make my way back to Afghanistan. Now, I had to answer some questions when I got there from the guys, sergeant majors, and like, basically, what are you doing here? But it was 2012. It was a bad time, and they needed Charlies. And so I went my first deployment back after getting blown up. September 12th, 2010 I was sent to Panjwai District, Kandahar Province, which in 2012, arguably, in my opinion, was the most IED'd area in Afghanistan. So I got back, and then I had to make a name for myself. I had to show that I wasn't a liability. I was something that would benefit the team. And so again, it went through, all that work to just get back to a point to where people just forgot about my injury. And then after that, is every deployment's like, well, you're non-deployable. No, it's Ryan. He's fine. He's good to go. And so that's how I just kept going back. But I guess what I'm getting at with all of that is to say that So the biggest problem, the biggest hiccup that I had, it was almost a permanent hiccup, because I came very close to being one of the 22 a day, easily. And it's, and there's no shame in admitting that, because a lot of people are dealing with that right now. The problem I had was I had a victimization issue, and I was entitled. And so I thought that because of my injury, people owed me something. I was entitled to this injury. You don't know what I've been through. And so I started to become my injury, and I started to let my injury take me over. Instead of me running my life, my injury was running my life, and I was becoming my injury. And it was a very, very lonely place, because as hard as you try to make people understand, they'll never understand. And they could say, thank you for your service, until they're blue in the face. Eventually, you're going to push everybody away from you, because you are expecting something that is impossible for anybody to give. And it's impossible for someone to know what you've been through. And then the entitlement mindset that I'm owed something because of these injuries that I sustained in Afghanistan, that alone, those two things, victimization and entitlement, it almost ended my life. And so the biggest thing that I learned was this advice I got from my dad. Hopefully we got time, but
yeah, absolutely.
So my dad told me this. He said, all right, son, you're in a dark place in your life right now. And you're in a lot of pain, and you're going through this rehabilitation. But I'm going to warn you about something, and I need you to listen to me. And all the meds I was on, all the pain meds, everything, my mind cleared up. I think God was like, all right, dude, I put that IED in your path for a reason. Now we're going to start to, you were almost one of the 22 a day. Now we're going to start to build you up. I'm going to change your life. And that's what that IED was for. So my dad told me, he's like, look, you got two choices right now. He said, number one, you can become your injury. You can continue down the path you are right now. You can continue becoming a victim of your injury, and this entitlement mindset that you're owed something for what you went through and what you've done and seen and all this other stuff. You can continue down that path, and no one's going to blame you. I mean, they're not. He said, but it's a very lonely path. You're going to push everybody away from you. You are going to alienate yourself. You're going to you're going to seclude yourself, and eventually, he said, I don't think you have the power to live through that. You're going to take your own life. He said, a lot of people are doing it right now. And I saw it a lot with the Vietnam veterans. And so he told me, this injury was bad, but you're not the first person to ever get injured, and you won't be the last. And he said, as much as you think you're owed something, nobody owes you shit. You're not owed a damn thing. He said, or option number two, you got the golden ticket. God has given you what most men will never get in their life, and that is the restart button. You expired twice. You have the restart button. So when you were laying there along the Helmand River and going through your mind of, man, because I was, when my team couldn't get to me and I was fading out, I was not happy with the man that I was. And if I would have died at that point, I had a lot of regrets. He said, but you got the magic, you got the magic, the golden ticket, you got the magic button. You can reset all that. Everything that you were thinking about while you thought you were going to die there along the river that day, you can change all that. You have the ability to change all that. You can use this injury to make yourself stronger, make yourself a better man, renew your relationship with God. Use this injury to help people. It doesn't matter about you. No one. Let's face it, son. No one cares. Like you're Ryan Hendrickson. Congratulations. No one gives a shit. Use this injury to help other people. Use this to make yourself stronger. Make yourself a better man. And in the end, you will. It's not what you do for yourself, but you're going to help a lot of people if you choose that. And so that alone, that meant, so much to me right there. And then the biggest the biggest piece of advice that I tell people when they ask me about my journey is this. So time keeps ticking. The world keeps moving on. You can't stop that. Well, you can, but don't. But time keeps ticking on. There's nothing you can do about it. And what you think is such a huge situation right now at this moment, as the years go on, it won't be that big of a situation. He said, but let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to get to a point in your life when you're an old man, and you're going to sit back and you're going to look back on how you handled this situation right here. And you are either going to be disgusted with what you did, and that is a death sentence for an old man. Regret, despair, and you're going to either be disgusted with how you handled this situation right now, or you're going to sit back as an old man and you're going to know you did it right, and you're going to sip on your beer and you're going to be relaxed, and you are going to be content with who you are, what you've done, and the mark that you've left on the world. It's not about what you've done for yourself. It's about what you do for other people. And he said, if you handle this situation correctly, you will set yourself up as an old man like me, and that's my dad talking. You'll set yourself up as an old man like me, and you will be at peace with yourself. And he said, I highly recommend you get a hold of this situation right now, because you don't want to grow old with regrets, because it's a death sentence. So yeah, those two pieces of advice right there changed my life. And I know that was God talking through my dad. It just was.